Throughout the years, there have been many incredible defensive campaigns from some of the best players of league history, but for one reason or another, many of these campaigns didn't end with the Defensive Player of the Year award. With that being said, defense wins championships, and whether you're on the court or off the court, taking care of the D is going to help you succeed, which is why today's video is brought to you by Manscaped. Christmas came early this year when I was gifted the new performance package by Manscaped. Included in here is the Lawnmower 4.0 waterproof body trimmer. The trimmer has a super smart cordless charging system. Also included are quality stocking stuffers like the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and the Crop Reviver Ball Toner Spray. For a limited time, you can get all of this plus 2 free gifts, the Shed Travel Bag and the Manscaped Anti-Chafing Boxer Briefs. That's a gift on top of a gift, which will pretty much make you the best gift giver at the Christmas gathering. Don't wait, go to manscaped.com and use promo code ARNETT to get 20% off plus free international shipping plus 2 free gifts. Again, that's 20% off plus free shipping with promo code ARNETT at checkout. Now before we get into the list, let me first establish my 2 rules of this list. Each player only has 1 spot on the list, so I will only rank a player's best season in which he did not win the Defensive Player of the Year award. This should give a nice variety to the list. The other rule is that only seasons where the award actually existed are eligible to make this list. So basically, starting with the year 1983. Also, these are the honorable mentions of the greatest non-DPOY seasons that didn't make the list. Let me know which one of these has the best case to get into the top 10. So without further ado, let's get into it. Number 10, Dwight Howard in the 11-12 season. Between 2009 and 2011, Howard absolutely dominated this defensive accolade as he earned the trophy for 3 seasons straight, which no other player has ever done. By the time the 2012 season rolled around, voter fatigue may have been playing a part in Howard's vote total, as Tyson Chandler was that season's winner. Although Chandler was certainly deserving of the award, Dwight put up a strong campaign of his own, nearly becoming the first ever player to win 4 straight DPOY trophies. This season, Howard led the league in defensive rebounds and was 3rd in blocks per game, which was ahead of Tyson Chandler. He was also 3rd in defensive rating and 3rd in defensive win shares. On top of all of this, he was also selected to the NBA's first team All-Defense, compared to Chandler, who was only selected to the second team, which only makes things a little more awkward about the league's decision to give the award to Chandler over Howard. Number 9, LeBron James in the 12-13 season. If this list was about the biggest DPOY snubs ever, then this campaign from LeBron would certainly be in my top 5. But since it's just the greatest non-DPOY seasons overall, LeBron will have to settle for the 9th spot on my list. This is one of the more famous controversies as far as this award goes, since Marc Gasol was selected as the winner, yet he only made the 2nd All-Defense team, while LeBron made 1st team All-Defense. LeBron was the defensive anchor of his 66-16 Heat squad, and had the best defensive rating out of all players on his team. Number 8, Rollins in the 82-83 season. The 7'1" Rollins is one of the great forgotten rim protectors of NBA history, and in the 1983 season, he was at his very best. The great perimeter defender Sidney Moncrief was awarded that season's award, but it easily could have gone to Rollins, who finished as a close 2nd, as he put up 0.6 steals and a ridiculous league-leading 4.3 blocks per game. What's even more amazing is how Rollins did that in only 30.9 minutes per game. His per 36-minute stats puts his block shots at a whopping 5 per game. His middle-of-the-pack Atlanta Hawks was just barely better than half of the league defensively. But Rollins definitely did his part, as he finished 8th in defensive win shares, 2nd in defensive plus-minus, and 3rd overall in defensive rating. Number 7, Draymond Green in the 14-15 season. Kawhi Leonard was that season's winner, and the selection is remembered as one of the most controversial awards of NBA history, and for good reason, as Draymond was the defensive leader of the 67-15 Warriors' number 1 ranked defense. He averaged a solid 1.6 steals and 1.3 blocks per game. But a lot of what Draymond does well defensively goes beyond the numbers, as he's an elite help defender, a fantastic on-ball defender, and one of the premier low-post defenders, despite usually being the undersized player. He was also 2nd overall in defensive win shares and 4th overall in defensive rating. Number 6, Tim Duncan in the 06-07 season. If there was ever a season where Tim Duncan should have won the Defensive Player of the Year award, this was it, as his San Antonio Spurs finished as the second best defense in the entire league. And Duncan was the clear leader of that San Antonio unit, as he averaged 0.8 steals and 2.4 blocks. Marcus Camby was that season's Defensive Player of the Year, but despite that, Duncan ranked ahead of him in terms of defensive win shares and defensive rating, as the big fundamental had the top spot in the league in each of those categories. Number 5. Mark Eaton in the 83-84 season. It was once again the elite defensive guard Sidney Moncrief who narrowly won the award. Now, the 1984 Jazz was just a middle-of-the-road team both overall and defensively, but their monstrous defender in the paint was the exception, and with his sheer size and with his 7'6" wingspan, the 7'4" center was putting up defensive numbers that modern bigs can only dream of. In only 26.1 minutes per game, Mark averaged 0.3 steals and 4.3 blocks per game, which translates to 5.9 blocks per 36 minutes. Despite a role player's amount of minutes, he easily led all players this season in blocks, blocks percentage, and defensive plus-minus. He would later go on to win 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards in his career, but very nearly started with his third this season. Number 4. Scottie Pippen in the 94-95 season. I debated whether to go with Scottie's 1996 campaign or this one in 1995, but ultimately this is the one I settled with. This season, not only did Scottie lead his Bulls in all 5 major stat categories, which only 5 players have ever done in league history, but he also led the NBA in steals with 2.9 per game, which was his career best. He also added 1.1 blocks per game, and his Bulls finished with the second best defense in the entire league. Scottie had the second most defensive win shares and third best defensive plus-minus, and had the best defensive rating in the entire league, even against competition like Dikembe Mutombo, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, Dennis Rodman, and Hakeem Olajuwon. With his strong numbers, Dikembe Mutombo was that season's winner. Due to the quality of his rim protection, he may have been more deserving of the award. It's tough to say, but without question, this season from Scottie was one of the greatest that we've ever seen from a wing defender. Number 3. David Robinson in the 90-91 season. Dennis Rodman won the award over Robinson, which made the Admiral one of the greatest runner-ups of league history. But whether or not he should have been is another topic entirely, as he led his Spurs to a 55-27 record, and San Antonio had the best team defense in the entire league. As far as the stats advantage goes, Robinson absolutely crushed Rodman, with 1.5 steals and 3.9 blocks per game. Robinson also bested Rodman in defensive win shares, defensive plus-minus, defensive rating, and even in defensive rebounds. If you consider the fact that Robinson had won the Defensive Player of the Year award in his career, this runner-up season still might be the most impressive he ever was on the defensive end of the court. Number 2. Ben Wallace in the 03-04 season. The 2004 Pistons are arguably the greatest defensive team in NBA history, and the top defender of that group was none other than Ben Wallace. This season was sandwiched between the 2 Defensive Player of the Years before this season and his 2 Defensive Player of the Years after this season, which means that if he won the award this year, he would have won 5 straight Defensive Player of the Year awards. And if I'm being honest, I think he should have. The man formerly known as Ron Artest won the award this season, and that may have something to do with the fact that his Pacers had the league best 61-21 record. But by pretty much every defensive metric, Ben Wallace had a significant edge over Artest. Wallace averaged 1.8 steals and 3 blocks while having a better defensive rating, more win shares, and a better defensive plus-minus than Ron Artest. In fact, not only did Wallace have the most defensive win shares that season, but since the DPOY was introduced in 1983, Ben Wallace in 2004 had the most defensive win shares in NBA history. When it's all said and done, I still don't understand how he didn't win the award this season. Number 1. Hakeem Olajuwon in the 89-90 season. Once again, Dennis Rodman was the winner of the award this year, but to say that the runner-up had a strong case would be a massive understatement. This top spot was honestly an easy choice for me, as Hakeem dominated in basically every way you can defensively. His Rockets were the number 1 ranked defense as he put up 2.1 steals and an insane 4.6 blocks over the course of the year. In a season stacked with great defenders, Hakeem was first in defensive rebounds, first in block shots, first among centers in steals, first in defensive win shares, first in defensive plus-minus, and first in defensive rating. Second in the Defensive Player of the Year race. Go figure. So what do you guys think? Who should have been higher or lower on my list? Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.